Sure, I'm going to play you a clip of an audio that I have from my son's school. And in the clip, you're going to hear us, we had a meeting with our principal and vice principal because they accused him of bringing a weapon to school, threatened him with jail, and then, ultimately gave him an ISS. And as it turns out, it was a fidget spinner he brought to school. Now, the reason I made such a big deal about it it's a matter of principle in that due process, in standing up for your rights. In the video you're about to hear, you'll hear the principal himself say that when we walk to the school, we give up or surrender some of our inalienable rights. He says that. You're also going to hear how the vice principal lied and then gets caught lying. And of course, this is the way the schools work. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because it's important to understand the 14th Amendment. And it's important to understand that the schools are not teaching our kids their rights anymore. They don't want the kids to know their rights. And most parents don't know either. It seems like such a small, stupid thing, give the kid 1 day of ISS, but it's not. It's about schools thinking that they get to be the arbiters of truth. They're the ones who get to say and do whatever they want. They're the ones who get to decide punishment, mete it out, not understand it. They are government entities. They are state actors, and students do have a right to due process, which is the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, just as we as their parents do. And in this case, they brought my son into a police officer's room, school resource officer, which is a police officer, questioned him, threatened him with jail without my wife or myself there or our attorney, and questioned my son as they investigated a potential crime, because bringing a weapon to school is a crime, and that violates his due process rights. So when you hear this clip, this is what you're going to hear and what you're going to see. And again, it's important to teach our kids to stand up for their rights, because if they don't know what their rights are, they're going to lose them. So take a listen.
All right, just to kind of go over how this occurred. Yesterday during social studies class, the 3 boys I guess had their hands on this item. The
fidget spinner.
The
fidget spinner.
We have the ad for it too, where it was purchased from, and
you can see it too. You stick your finger in the hole and spin it. That's what it is.
Okay, so in any event, the teacher saw it, and so the teacher took it up and brought it to the office, concerned about what it was.
Right. Yeah, Luke told me that. He said the teacher took it, but that was kind of it until the end of the day.
I received, they were in the office at the end of second period.
Okay.
So, and that's when we talked and was going through the process of it.
What period?
Second. Sorry. We're
the last period of the day.
Seventh period. Seventh period.
That's a big difference. Second and seventh.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
No, seventh period. Seventh period. They were brought in.
I thought you said second, but I knew you didn't mean second.
We're actually in second period right now, which is actually seventh period because of testing. So my mind is a little crazy. Okay. So
where was athletics? Were they on the field?
And do you have that fidget spinner in here? Is that where it is? So we can take it back home?
I don't have it.
You can get it at the end of the school year.
So a fidget spinner.
You're calling it a fidget spinner. We're calling it a prohibited item.
Well, I got your email or yours, and I looked at it, and by definition, it says designed to be thrown. It's not. It's a fidget spinner. Now, my issue here is that
the ad's right here.
It's a fidget spinner. It's not designed. It's not sharp. It's not a blade by definition. It is not
by state definition.
I'm not going to argue with you.
Well, you don't have to argue all you want. I'm just down here.
Of the utmost importance.
I understand
what weapon is this replicating? What?
The way you can hold it. The way you can use it.
But what
I can do that with
weapon is
it's
it
not
replicating?
sharp. It's not a blade.
What weapon is it replicating?
I don't know.
None.
I mean, does it? We need to know what weapon it is.
Go by your school handbook.
This is what you said. You said it was replicating a weapon. What weapon
designed
is this
to stab or cut?
Replicating.
It specifically says designed to stab or cut. How is that designed to cut? It's not even sharp. It's round. You have it.
It's not round.
It's rounded or square at the top. It's not sharp. It's thick.
Did you looked at it, right?
Yes.
I mean,
I put it in my hand.
Right. It's not sharp. It's pointy. Yes.
I mean, I could put a pencil in my hand. I could put scissors in my hand, which are widely available in schools.
My issue is that my son was brought into a police officer, resource officer's room, told that he's lucky he's not going to jail for a fidget spinner. And I confirmed this with the other kids.
We talked to other parents.
One kid was crying because he was told he was going to go to the detention center for a year for this.
Absolutely not the truth.
So all these kids are lying. So was he in the resource officer's room or not?
That is true.
That is true. So he was detained by definition of being, his freedom was restricted. He couldn't move while an investigation was being done, correct? He was detained and questioned without me, my wife, or my attorney present.
Mechanically?
Yes. Well, mechanically, you say that's designing a weapon, so I can say whatever
He
too.
was put in cuffs?
You don't have to be being cuffed to be
Do
detained.
you know the definition of detained?
Evidently not.
Detained literally means your
Might
freedom
wanna
of movement is
educate yourself on
restricted.
this.
You're in my office.
Correct.
And
But I can get up and
freely walk
leave.
away.
And he could have too.
No, I asked him, I said, Luke, could you get up and leave? He said no. He did not feel.
That's Luke's opinion.
That's what detainment means. If you don't feel, any reasonable person,
correct.
reasonable person doesn't feel,
All right.
that's the law.
Okay.
That's Supreme Court standing.
Okay.
My issue
what
is
we do.
this. Tell my son, now my son doesn't know what a detention center is, so you're telling me he didn't say that. He would have no idea. My son is a pretty innocent kid when it comes to that stuff. He
Never
doesn't
been in
know.
trouble a day in his life?
I've never even heard of youth detention center until I moved here, until he brought it up yesterday. Didn't even know it was a thing. So who told him that?
Okay, so I told him, we measured the item. We measured the item.
From the handle to the, where's the handle on it? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
No, it's not from the handle, it's from.
Will you hold it? I looked up the Texas law.
Okay, well, thank you for doing that, because the item goes on both sides of the handle.
Correct. But there's no
Okay.
handle. You just, like you said, there's no handle.
No, there's a handle. There's right there.
Show me that's a handle. So that hole in the middle is a handle. Is that what you're trying to tell me? That's a hole in the middle. You put it on your
No.
finger.
When you grab it like that.
It's not a handle.
It's
By
a
definition, it's
fidget
not a handle.
spinner. That the mechanicalism inside, it's a you know what? Go
know
in your
what a
guidance
spinner
counsel's
is.
office.
I know what a
They have
spinner
a-
is.
So my
Yeah,
issue
tons
is
of
that
them.
you're reaching to classify this as a weapon. I read I guess you sent it or you sent
It's
it.
classified,
As a fidget spinner.
we decided and determined that it's a prohibited item.
But it's not.
But we decided.
By your handbook, it's not. By your definition.
By my interpretation of the student code of conduct,
So your interpretation.
yes.
Okay.
Because
I just wanna make sure I get that.
I am the principal here, so I'm the one that's going to have to face.
So you
Whatever.
can look at the school handbook and say, well, you know what? I don't like it, so I'm going to base it on this, and you make that decision. That's
Whether
fine.
I like it or not.
Well, it is.
It's whatever I deem whether or not it can be used as a weapon.
So if he brought a pencil with this shape, the shape of bat and wings, and had 2 points and 2 pencils in that, would you deem that as a weapon too?
Can't even comment on it
Because you know you won't. It's not designed as a
He
weapon.
didn't bring a pencil shaped like a Batman or whatever.
Well, you think I'm going to let him do that now after what you guys did to him on here? My kid's sitting there thinking he can go to jail for a year for something like this?
Look, I wasn't there.
I know. I'm not saying you were. However, my issue is that he was brought into a police officer's office, a reasonable person, an investigation, he was told, and I would agree with the definition, was being done about this, what this is, that kind of stuff. He was brought into an office of a police officer while an investigation of a potential crime, because he was told the consequence could be a year in the youth detention center, was
He
interrogated.
wasn't there then.
He was lucky that he's not there. My son doesn't make that stuff up. And if you're going to say my son's a liar, well, then that's whatever. But my son doesn't know what a detention center is. He knows what a police station is. He knows what jail is. Somebody told him detention center. So again, you weren't there, so I can't say this about you. He was detained by definition without my wife, right? The vice principal said she called my wife. Nobody called my wife.
And
Her
I've
phone did not ring.
I've gotten phone calls from the school before.
And all day your phone was working fine. Yes, so you're telling me that the only number that didn't work was the school's phone? That makes no sense. My number, yes, that was wrong number in the
The
system.
number I perceived that I called was yours. So
But yeah, mine's the first number, the first emergency contact.
could I have dialed a wrong number? Absolutely, I will give you that. But we can also look on my phone line log and exactly what time, and I can see exactly what number I called. I did attempt to call you, and I did not get through to you.
So that still gives you a right to interrogate my son?
No. Could I have made a mistake in dialing? Absolutely. But I also went to our registrar and said, I'm not able to get through on this line. Is there another number that you can give me?
where did
And she
Luke-
gave me that other number.
So where did Luke get, no, I'm calling your dad?
I have no idea.
He didn't say, honestly, I don't remember who he said that. He
I
just
don't
said,
know.
whoever
He
said they were
someone
calling.
said, no, I'm calling
said,
your
I'm
dad.
calling your dad.
I have no idea. The sheet that I printed out had 2 numbers for you, both identical. That's the number that I attempted to call. So,
But you guys have our email. You could have emailed us too and said, hey, your son's down here. We'd
I mean,
like to
that's
talk
pretty
to you.
serious. He's got a weapon and...
Right. I mean, and look, I
there's
have
no
I have
better
Batman
effort to
throwing
contact
stars
the
that are
parent?
literally designed to be thrown as a weapon. If he had brought that to school and this
Oh, yeah.
happened, hey,
That's
you'd have
right.
my support all day long, because that is a weapon, right? My issue is number one is I don't think he should get ISS for this. I don't. Your interpretation of that by reading it, it's wrong.
It says designed to be a weapon. There is no, even this kids, nobody, even the parents, nobody would get this weapon except for you guys. And I get the safety thing. I'm not arguing that. It is pointy, but you can take a pencil and hurt somebody with it. You could.
You're right.
But that's not what a pencil is designed for. Same thing with this. It is pointy. I grant that. On each end, they're wings. But it is not a weapon. It is not designed to be one. It's not designed to be thrown. Put your finger in there. It spins. It's clearly a fidget spinner by looking at it.
I'll tell you this much. It's not an appropriate fidget spinner for school. And
Okay.
it shouldn't be here. And I'm deeming it, and I did deem it a prohibited item. And one day of ISS, look, I wasn't here, I wasn't involved in the investigation, but I know that there were more than one student
There was
that
3.
ended up getting in trouble.
Correct.
I don't know the details behind the investigation. This is the first I heard about how she even come to know about it. She came to know about it. A teacher saw it and took it, I guess.
Well, I'm glad you at least conceded it is a fidget spinner.
The middle spinner.
Right.
But it's not a fidget spinner I've ever seen.
That doesn't mean it's not one. It says it right
It's
there.
advertised.
There's the ad
That's the
right
website we bought
there.
it off of. It's
Hey,
advertised.
And whenever they market these to kids, they're not going to market them as a weapon.
'Cause it's
They
not a
market
weapon.
it. You know, people market vapes to kids.
No,
And
actually,
they
that's
put
illegal.
sweet
They
juices
market it,
in
but a
and
kid
stuff
can't
like
buy
that.
it under
They
18.
Market it to kids.
But under 21, you
Well,
cannot buy it.
I don't know about that.
You can
I don't
go walk in
know
a
where
gas station and buy stuff like that.
I know.
It's not a weapon.
I wouldn't let my kids buy it.
Well, it was mine, and he asked me the other day. He said, "Dad, can I have this?" And I said, "Sure." You know, I'd like because I'm a Batman fan. That's why I bought
To
it.
school.
Well, I didn't think that the
fact is,
conversation
he brought
was
it to school. It was in the hands of other kids.
right because they liked it. It was what he said. One of his friends has ADHD or something like that, and he liked. I guess you put it, spin it, whatever. So he let him use it or play with it or something.
should.
It's not appropriate for school. You know, intent. I don't know if they looked at intent. I don't know.
Clearly, they
Well,
did not.
When they
But
call in a
I'll tell you
resource
this
officer
much.
because they're telling him that he's got a weapon. I mean, that's where
That's
That's
I
my
that's where
issue.
his
don't
rights are
know
being
about
violated.
That part. Here's what I
But
can
you
tell
should know because you're the principal, and this is a serious issue.
This is a serious
because
issue.
this isn't going to just stop here.
Calm
My
down.
son was detained.
Calm down. Calm down.
He's going to have an ISS on his school record for something, a
Was
fidget
anyone
spinner.
telling the kids while they were crying in the office to calm down?
there was
no,
a
they were
kid
telling
crying.
them that they were going to spend a year or that they could spend a year in juvenile detention center.
Not true.
I don't know who told
No.
you.
Everybody's lying except for the
All three
person who
kids
says
are
they
lying.
called my wife. There's no record of any call for her
Where-
calling her, but I mean, this makes no sense. This is ridiculous.
And that if they were in Amarillo at the time, they would have already been there.
That's right.
My son would have no idea of knowing the procedures and protocols in Amarillo.
Okay. Listen.
You can understand why we're kind of not happy about this situation. We weren't even notified. My son tried to tell me. Nobody sent me an email. My son was get ISS. Nobody told me except for him. No thing for me to sign. I had no clue if he didn't tell me.
And we're glad that he did.
I mean, not even on the Skyward or whatever it's
The
called. No
attempt-
notifications on there.
There was an attempt to get a hold of you guys. That's all I know.
Well, but her phone works just fine. And if you misdialed, that does happen.
I missed 2 calls
However,
today
with
from
something as
Northwest
serious as
Texas healthcare systems.
Well, we
Okay,
checked
my
the call.
phone
We
has
checked
no missed call.
Right, there's no missed calls.
Problem.
Okay, but I'm
My
just
phone
saying
doesn't
that
have
sometimes my phone
issues.
doesn't ring. I'm just saying.
But I'll give you that you could have misdialed. That does happen. However, with something like this, don't you think it's important before we question a kid with a police officer, we should probably let the parents know, send an email, a letter, something, instead of just whatever?
Can I explain to you? Canyon ISD and the Canyon Police Department, we partner together and we employ school liaison officers.
Right.
Our school liaison officer, our resource officer, is somebody that our kids can go to and feel safe to go to.
Not anymore.
Going into Officer Robinson's office should not be a detainment. Okay? Just
In normal circumstances, right. However, when there is an investigation of a potential crime and you're in there being questioned, that is detainment. But you're right. If a kid wants to walk in and say something,
sure.
if the officer stopped him in the hallway and asked him, that's not detainment.
Just know that here we want to work together with our parents and community.
You don't, though. You
We
won't even
to.
give me the thing
I'm trying
back.
to teach you.
I don't need to
how
be
we
taught
do
by civil rights. I have won free speech cases all over this country. Recently, just a
In
huge
schools.
one at the Supreme Court in
In
Oklahoma.
schools.
Hey, and I'm happy for you. Congratulations. Thank you. Here's the deal. At school, when you come across the school threshold doors, you lose some of your inalienable
That's
rights.
not true.
At school, when you come across the school threshold doors, you lose some of your inalienable.
That's not
rights.
true.
That's
I actually
not
just
true
won a lawsuit in
either.
Tennessee where the school tried saying that too,
Okay.
and I won a federal case.
These are federal laws. I mean, this isn't just
Okay.
state. These are federal laws that
Call
you
me a
should
liar.
know.
That's okay.
I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just simply
should
saying you might not
You
know.
won't even let me talk.
Well, you called my son a liar. Well,
I
you
did not.
She did. She called my son a liar. That's definitely a good principle.
Well,
My son gets detained. I'm upset, and I'm the bad guy here.
So you see, such a ridiculous thing over a fidget spinner. But the point of it was this: they deprived my son of his property. They suspended him. Thus, they took away his freedom to go to class. They put him in a police officer's thing, questioned him. That is a violation of his 14th Amendment rights. And you heard the principal say that we lose some of our rights. Now, while it's true, your rights, your free speech rights, for instance, get limited because you can't, you can't go and move through the yell fire, you can't do whatever. That is not a suspension of your rights. There's a difference there. And, this is a 14th Amendment violation, whether you like it. I mean, it's such a stupid thing too. But the fact is that these schools,